Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a very short video about a question that I have received from a few people on concerning wedding cakes. Like, what do you need to carry when you're going to a wedding cake delivery, and what are some of the things that you need to consider when doing a wedding cake delivery. And I'm going to be showing you some of the things that personally I carry when doing a wedding cake delivery. So I will start with saying it depends with whether your wedding cake is decorated with soft icing or if it's decorated with hard icing. So soft icing, I'm talking about whipping cream. So you can use whipping cream or you can use buttercream, or if your cake is using fondant, that is hard icing. Okay, so let's start with the soft icing. These days I'm finding that brides are really preferring to go the soft icing way. Kitambo, people are a bit reserved about the soft icing, but these days the brides are really embracing the soft icing cake decorations. So the first thing that you need to do, first understand your design. If it's a tiered cake, kama ya gorofa, so the easiest and the safest way to deliver a tiered cake is you deliver them separately, especially if the design is not something complicated. But if it's something that you can go and stack them at the venue, what I mean by stacking is kuwekelea one cake on top of the other, putting one cake on top of the other. If you can do that at the venue, I would prefer you go with that option because it makes delivering easier. The cakes, when they are in pieces, they can easily be delivered using a car. I'll attach photos of our recent wedding cake that we did and how we packed them and how we had separated the pieces into different boxes. Then when we got to the venue, we stacked the tiers together. Okay, so let's assume we are doing a soft icing cake decorated with soft icing with tiers. The first thing that you have to carry, I usually have this box. This is what I call my toolbox. I carry this when going to a wedding cake delivery. So the first thing that you need to think about is, how am I going to stack those cakes when I get to the venue? So you need a spatula and you need a serrated knife, because this is what I usually use to, I'll show you a video of how I do it. I'll attach a video of myself doing it. So you lift that cake pole pole very slowly and put it on top of the tier that you want to place the cake on. That means you have to have doweled your cake before you leave the venue. Before you leave your bakery, you have to have doweled your cake. Try and reduce the work that you're going to do at the venue. So dowel so that when you get there, you're just going to stack. So you need the tools. Number two, it's important to carry whipped cream. So this is the cream that I usually use. But you can whip in the bakery and carry cream that is already whipped, because most times you may not easily get a place where you can whip your cream in the venue, in the wedding cake venue. So carry whipped cream so that in case you may need to do some repairs, in case you may need to pipe something. That means also you have to remember to carry a piping bag. So you have to carry a piping bag, you have to carry a nozzle so that you can be able to do some repairs. Also, it's important to carry a scraper and a turntable so that in case there's an accident at the venue or during the delivery and you might need to do a bit of quick repair, you'll have the things available. Hautaanza kukimbia in the supermarket, you'll not start running to the supermarket. So you'll have a scraper and you need a turntable in case you may need to do a decoration. But we usually pray we don't have accidents when we're delivering cake. Thankfully, I've not had wedding cake accidents. And I really pray that you don't, because it can be crazy. It can be crazy. So that means now we have stacked our cakes. We have done any repairs that requires to be done. If the cake is using flowers, you will be required to carry your flowers. But these are artificial flowers, so you can carry artificial flowers. If your cake is using artificial flowers, by the time you're going to the venue, make sure you've already cut them into the size that you want to use them. Remember, we are trying to reduce the work at the venue, okay? If you're going to be using chocolate drips, I prefer you drip the chocolate drips at the venue. There's a video I'll attach of myself doing preparing the ganache for dripping on the cake. The reason why I prefer doing that, however, you can do it at the bakery, but the reason I prefer to do that is so that because my cake was only being decorated with the whipping cream and the ganache. So in case there was any mess up during the delivery, I would have been able to hide any mistake with the ganache. But kama ningekuwa nisha drip the chocolate drips at at the bakery, then I would not have, you know, it would have been messy. Like chocolate, especially chocolate ganache, you know, you can't remove it, and so once it's messed, it's messed. That's why I preferred doing it at the venue. The other thing you need to carry is you need to carry your cake stands for the setup. So these are our cake stands, the cake stands that we use. These ones are for the centerpiece, the short ones, and then we have these ones for the side cakes. So you have to count your cakes. How many side cakes do you have? If you have 3 or 4 side cakes, then you can carry 4 stands, or you can carry 3 stands, then 1 cake will be on the table, and then you also need the stand for the centerpiece cake. Remember, if depending on your agreement with your client, if you're not the one providing the fabric for the table, you should have communicated that earlier with your client, so that you'll find a table that has already been prepared, a tent that is decorated with a table that is dressed by the decor people. So you have to make sure you have communicated that earlier with the client or with the bride and the groom, so that they can speak to the event people and make sure that there is such a table. Usifike venue and then there is no table, or they are assuming you're coming with your fabric. I have received that question. Do you come with a fabric? So I tell them I don't come with a fabric, but I provide everything concerning the cake. But I will be required to find a tent decorated to your preference and a table that is dressed. Preferably a round table. A round table gives a very beautiful setup. You need cartons for the side cakes when you're giving the cakes to the people who are being given. If it's the parents, you can't just hand them a cake without a carton. So you need to carry cartons for the side cakes, the cakes that you're giving away. You need to carry clean and nice cartons. The other thing, if you're the one providing an alcoholic wine or whichever kind of wine, you have to carry the wine. I don't have wine here, but you carry the wine, and then you carry a wine holder. And then these ones are the wine glasses. So this wine holder has a place where you hang the glasses, because you will definitely require the glasses. Now, something that I have noticed with time, I had been carrying 2 glasses, but when the bride and the groom use these glasses, it's, you know, hygiene. The best couple can't use it. So always make sure you carry an extra set of glasses. So I have another set of glasses that are not necessarily gold. Very soon I'm going to get gold ones, so that you can bring them. Maybe you can bring them at the table when it's time for cutting the cake. So you require that. Then you also need these cutlery. Are depending on the color theme of the cake. They come in either gold or silver. So these ones, mine are in gold. Mostly I've been getting gold cakes. Gold themed cakes. So this one, you need this cutlery at the table. That is, if you have talked with your client that you're the one providing, and it is important to charge for these things, because you need to maintain them, and also sometimes they get lost at the venue. So it's like basically you're hiring them to the bride and groom to use them on the day of the wedding. So make sure you charge for these. So you also provide a palette knife for cutting. Then these are forks. I provide 4 forks to be used for the bride and the groom and the best couple and their team to use. And then I also provide this one, I don't know its name. It's for scooping the cake. Yeah, when cutting, you scoop the cake so that it doesn't break. And then you also provide plates. I usually go with the plates, but I don't put it at the table when setting. I don't put them at that point. I come with them when it's time to cut the cake. So carry enough plates or platters or whatever for distributing the cake. When after the cake has been cut, to distribute the cake to the guests. I also carry platters. These ones help the setup of the wedding cake to be very pretty, depending on the theme of your wedding, if it's in silver or in gold. So these ones, you use them. I also have these ones. These I use it together with this. It came like this when I was buying it. So sometimes I prefer to use, especially a wedding cake that has the theme of red. I find it pretty when I present it like this. I'll attach a photo of how I do that. The plates will not come with them at the point of you will not put them at the table when setting up. You will come with them. So what I usually do in most weddings, you find that the cake table is round and then the fabric is very big. It hangs. So I usually take a shopping bag. I put in the plates and the cartons and put them under the table. So nobody will know there's anything under the table because the fabric is very long. You know, the fabric is flowing down in a way that it hides anything under the table. So when it's time to cut the cake, I remove the plates and I remove the cartons. Okay, then make sure you have more than one knife. That's why when I carry this one, I put it together with the plates under the table so that I can help the slicing of the cake can happen faster so that you don't delay the guests. Yes, so we are done with the soft icing. So when doing a fondant cake, that is a hard icing cake. Hard icing, I mean this kind of fondant. This one, like this is it's not so hard, but this is fondant, or this one, or this when you're doing this kind of cake. So what you need, remember you have to dot your cakes before you leave the venue. And number two, just carry extra fondant in case of any issues. Just carry fondant and also a rolling pin so that you can roll your fondant. Carry a smoother so that you can smoothen your fondant as you roll in case of any eventualities. Also I prefer carrying ribbons, okay? Ribbons of the color theme of your wedding cake. You can also carry molds like this one. You can carry like this mold so that you can create fondant molds. Then the other thing is carry fondant of the color of your wedding cake, right? So that in case you may need to sort, usianze tena mix so that you don't start mixing the colors at the venue. Then the other thing, they stand. The wines, the words, they stand. But those are the things that you should never leave. Then the other thing, for the sake of safety and health and hygiene, also always carry gloves when you're handling your cakes, because you have to maintain hygiene. Remember, especially at the venue, you may not have a tap to keep washing your hands. So you have to have gloves so that every time you're handling that cake, you will use a glove and not contaminate the cake. Okay? I don't think there's anything else I have left. Now, when it's time to cut the cake, it's important to have someone who will be there when it's time to cut the cake so that you don't lose your items. Okay? Remember, all these things are yours. Also, it's important you help the cake matron in slicing, because it is you who understands your cake. You're the one who knows what you had agreed with the bride. How many people are supposed to be fed by that cake? You know how many kgs there are. So what I usually do when I go to the venue, I do a quick survey. And then I see approximately how many guests are at the venue, because sometimes a bride may tell you that they have 300 guests and then 400 guests come. So if you see the guests are many, so you go there when you're going to slice the cake, you go with the mindset that you will cut that cake into very small pieces so that at least everyone gets a piece of the cake. Or if you realize that the bride had ordered a cake for 300 guests, and then the guests at the venue around 200, then that means that cake, you can cut the cake into big chunks so that people will really enjoy the cake. Remember, the goal of every wedding is for us to be able to give the best kind of cake to the bride and the groom, because in that venue, you are also marketing yourself to the other guests who are seated. The other thing is, how do we deliver this wedding cake? The safest place to deliver a cake is on the floor of the car. So don't put the cakes on the seat of the car. Don't put the cakes on the seat of the car, because if that car breaks abruptly, that cake will slide and fall. So put the cakes in a place where even if a car holds abruptly, the cake will not slide and fall. Always talk to the contact person of the wedding so that you know what time you're supposed to get to the venue. It is important to get to the venue a little bit earlier so that you have enough time to do your, the setting up. You have enough time to salvage issues in case anything goes wrong, and you're not in a hurry. Sometimes when you're in a hurry, you panic and you end up doing things wrong. So the work of the cake supplier, it ends when the cake is all cut and distributed to the guests. In case there's any detail or any information that I've left concerning a wedding cake, kindly comment below, and I'm sure we will all learn. So thank you so much. I really hope you have learned something. See you next time.